A giant can play small all it wants, but at the end of the day, it'll never be as small as an ant. And I'm not quoting anything, okay? This is an Obby original. A giant can play small all it wants, but it can never play as small as an insect. It will never become an insect. I feel like there's this idea that when you say things like, oh, they just act like that because they're jealous of me, like people really look down on that kind of rhetoric. But honestly, I think we need to revisit it because sometimes it's true. Sometimes it's fucking true. And frankly, it fucking sucks. Being the person that people are jealous of, especially when you're someone that craves intimacy or someone that craves vulnerability and you enjoy being vulnerable so that other people feel safe around you. When you're that kind of person that likes the idea of sharing your life with others, only to find out that people are just fundamentally jealous of you and that no amount of kindness, no amount of, not necessarily dimming your light, because I don't think that's something I believe in doing, but again, playing small or understating your achievements or just even not voicing your achievements so that they don't trigger anybody else. No amount of doing that will ever make an ant feel as big as a giant does because they're not as fucking big. And that's just the truth. And I'm saying this out loud because it can be so discouraging to feel like because of the kind of person you are, because you are a bright light, unfortunately, there are a lot of things attracted to light, including the insects. And so if you're the kind of person that carries a light inside of you that makes people swarm and flock towards you, flock towards your warmth, flock towards your vision, literally, because your light clears a path forward for them. When you're that kind of person, it can become very draining when you lack the discernment to understand that sometimes people are just jealous of you. And sometimes you need those people to stay far, far away. And if you can't distance yourself from those people because maybe they're a part of your day-to-day life, either from work or school or family or whatever it is, a circumstance that you have difficulty changing in the immediate term, or people like this very often end up in very visible positions. No matter the context, there's just always eyes on them. If you're one of those people, you need to realize that not everyone that is kind to you has your best intentions at heart. And if you're naive and you're too humble because you were raised with humility, you were raised with grace, you were raised to be patient with other people's insecurities, to be understanding of others, to be empathetic, all of these wonderful qualities that make people want to be around you, unfortunately can put you in a position where you are now the unsafe one because you think you're going for like a nice stroll in the woods. Meanwhile, there's snakes in the grass. And it's funny to even talk about this really because I feel like the kinds of people that would hear this and immediately be triggered in like an offensive way, like, how dare you? Like, sorry to say it, babe, you're the ant. Like, you're the ant I'm talking about. Because if you weren't the ant, nothing I just said should be offensive. But I know that the person listening to this, that this message is for, you resonate with this feeling. And my message to you specifically, you'll never be able to hide that you're a giant. Even when you literally remove yourself from the external world as much as possible, people will see it in you. They will sniff it off of you. They can sense it. You're literally glowing. You're like a light bulb in a sea of darkness. Like, you're the diver with a waterproof torch that's investigating a sunken ship and saving drowning people. That's literally what you look like when you show up in the world. And so you will attract damaged people, and you are probably damaged yourself, and that's part of it, is you were able to save yourself, and other people can feel that, and they want you to save them too. Or even if you haven't saved yourself yet, they can feel that you have the power in you to do that for yourself and others. But I want you to be careful because saving drowning people can be dangerous when they don't know how to swim. I heard this analogy when I was really drowning and I was talking to my priest from one of my hometowns, I guess, like in America. And he was talking about how when you're saving a drowning person that doesn't know how to swim, you have to save them from behind. Because if you save them from in front, they'll panic, they'll thrash, they'll grip onto you like an iron grip out of fear. And they will drown you too, even though you came to save them. And so There are people out there that you love, that you wish could be part of your inner circle, that you enjoy their company so much, or you used to enjoy their company so much, and you think about the friendships that you had to give up, the friendships that you know you're better off without, but ultimately you still miss them because there were reasons why you loved those people, right? And maybe these are people that are still in your life right now that on the one hand you love them, but on the other hand, their flaws, you're not going to be able to save them right now. Those kinds of people, just like the lifeguard that saves drowning people from behind, you have to love them from afar. Because if they're too close to you, they're going to sink you. Their ship already sunk, they're going to sink your ship too. And then you'll both be done for. And you won't become the person that you need to be. A flower growing in the garden, a good gardener will cut the weeds growing next to that flower. If you think about it from like a flower's perspective though, those weeds are all that flower knows. Those weeds are the flower's friends. Those weeds are maybe something that the flower has become attached to, right? The weeds have entangled themselves with this beautiful flower. But a good gardener will still cut those weeds. So let God cut out the weeds. And if God already has cut out the weeds, you need to take a minute to take a deep breath and embrace the space that he's given you to grow. Because if he hadn't given you that growth, those weeds would have suffocated your ability to survive until you both, all of you, dwindled into nothingness. I've always been someone that is quite detached, I think because I moved around a lot as a kid. And so you just kind of get used to leaving things behind. And so even with like friendships ending, there's a level for me where it's like not that difficult. But I think something that does actually hurt me is when I reflect on the times that I've really poured my heart out to make someone feel good, because I knew in their eyes I was a giant. And I also knew in their own eyes they were an ant. And I would try my absolute hardest to build them up so that they could feel like the giant that I saw them to be. But ultimately nothing would work. And eventually I would get punished for being bigger than them. So for some people, they rise to the occasion when you help to empower them. And then some people are just ants. Some people are just insects. They'd rather buzz. They'd rather be mosquitoes and literally suck your blood and try to be like you instead of, using you almost like a resource to not just improve themselves and then throw you away like so many people like to do as well, unfortunately, but to be inspired and then get to a position where they're also inspiring others. Because I know that I've been inspired by so many people that came before me. And that's why I hope to inspire other people by rising to my own potential. But that doesn't mean that I'm using other people as stepping stones or blocks or whatever, a staircase to the top, and then discarding friendships simply because I don't materially benefit from somebody anymore. And I just want to warn you that if you're listening to this and this is resonating for you, you need to understand that not everybody thinks the way that you and I do. So you cannot be naive. Just because everybody seems to be nice to you or everybody seems to want to be around you doesn't mean that everybody's love for you is pure. And sometimes they can love you and hate you in the same sentence simply because they want to be you so bad and they don't know how to get there. And all of your encouragement, all of your love, all of your patience in the world will not make that person treat you any better. So if you've already noticed that the friendship is degenerating despite your best efforts, at some point you just have to call it quits. And as always, I say this to you out there, but I'm also often just talking to myself. And that's often what calls me to make these podcast episodes is I'm thinking through something and I need to hear these words as much as I think you do. And that's why I press record instead of ruminating. But anyways, as usual, thank you so much for spending time with me today. If any of these words resonated, I really encourage you to subscribe to this podcast or follow it or whatever it's called, and to check out some of my other episodes. Definitely leave me a comment if you feel comfortable. If you want to talk privately, shoot me a note on my website, livelumani.com/connect. I also recently started a Substack. All my social medias are just at LiveLumani, so LIVELUMANI. So look me up on Substack if you want to get my Live Lumani letters every single week. They'll go straight to your email inbox. If you shoot me a note on my website directly, you will also receive the Live Lumani letters every week as well. welcome to Live Lumani. I'm so happy you're here. My name is Abia Mudo, and I'll see you next time. Bye.